So I'm going to give some examples of fieldwork research that we carry ourselves, but also other people's project we contributed to. I divided these examples through those topics you can see in here. And at the end, I'm just gonna explain why fieldwork research is important for the industry. So first, I'm going to talk about behavioral resistance. I divided this between snap traps and bait. So first, I'm going to talk about snap traps. Probably that's the behavioral resistance is the thing we have been experimenting with the most because it's our worst nightmare. And I guess everyone has been fighting this. So we've been trying to investigate how mice, for example, avoid traps. My colleague Ian Pendrick in Edinburgh has been conducting some research about this with house mice. My colleague Ian McKinnon has also been studying the interaction with snap traps with mice. And it has seen very good results with multi-catch boxes, the ones that have ramps. I'm just going to show a couple of pictures later on. Many technicians in our team have also tried different baits for snap traps, showing best results with butter rather than peanut butter or sugar-based baits. This is because a possible change in food preferences. Some of you may know about the study that was carried in Birmingham, where they found out that mice were avoiding cereal-based baits because of their change in how they were digesting the cereals. And we also been trying to record with trail cameras the interaction of mice and rats with different traps. So this is a photo taken by Ian Pendrick in Edinburgh, where he was trying to see how mice were avoiding the snap traps. Just to say that all the photos I'm putting here where bait appears, the bait is always placed in control areas such as wall cavities or behind hatches or behind kickboards. So you can see here he put some grain bait around the trap, and you can see how the mice was eating the bait until that straight line. And it drew like the bait that was right next to the trap, it wasn't touched at all. Then with Ian McKinnon and his trials with the multi-catch boxes, he had a very problematic side where mice were touching the bait, not going for any of the snap traps in boxes. And he started trying these multi-catch snap trap boxes, and he got very good results. Even without bait, he was catching mice. And he recorded the number of catches between two different areas in the same site. You can see here the graph he made, and you can see over the weeks there is a significant decrease in number of catches, and this was because of the traps were actually working. So he managed to reduce the mice population. He couldn't find as many droppings as he could find before. The staff weren't reporting as many sightings as they did before. So he got very good results with this. In Glasgow, they try if there was a difference between putting bait on top of paper towel or putting bait on plastic trays or plastic boxes. And they found that mice, they will eat more bait if it was placed on top of paper towel. And they were avoiding plastic trays and plastic boxes. And they were wondering if the smell of plastic could be the cause for this. In Edinburgh, we tried to place bait on top of paper towel, but also doing the same on plastic bags, like a plastic bag on a flat surface. And we found that there was no difference between plastic bag and paper towel. So we were wondering if it's the material that is causing them to not eat the bait in plastic trays or plastic boxes, or if it's maybe the shape of the container, or if it's because it's just put on a flat surface, that make them more prone to eat the bait. Then when it comes to trying different baits, we found that grain bait is, at least in Aberdeen, Edinburgh or Glasgow, is the thing that works the best. And we tried different grain baits, and we found that the oat-based grain baits, which active ingredient was brodifacoum, were the ones that were working the best. Here I have a picture taken by Ian Pendrick in Edinburgh. He tried different grain baits, and you can see on your left, all the bait is completely gone. This is the oat-based grain bait. And the other two, they have been disturbed, but not really taken. So he tried this in different sites just to point out that these field trials of different products are very important, not only to improve the efficiency of our treatments, but also when regulations are coming, we have the data or we can prove which prevent them from disappearing. Then going to genetic resistance, some of you might know the anticoagulant resistant project done by CRU, although right now this project is done by SASA. So this project is trying to analyze mice and rat tail samples to test the genetic resistance towards different anticoagulant products. There is a map you can check, although there is not enough samples to have a conclusion whether some areas are resistant or not. But it allows us to know the spread of genetic resistance to different products across the UK. And this is very important, obviously, because maybe we are treating a rodent population with an anticoagulant that is not working. So we need to know that they are not resistant to it to have successful treatments. And also because knowing the genetic resistance of the product is stipulated in your product labels. So to comply with regulations, we need to know the genetic resistance of the products we are using. It's also very interesting because they have some interesting results, like the hybrid resistance in rats recorded in Edinburgh. So yeah, it's very important to know what we are facing. You can order some of these pre-made packs. The photo you see on your left is one of these packs that you can easily carry in your van. You just need to cut the tail. You have all the packaging you need. Just put it inside the envelope and send it. And you can order these packs in the link I provided in here. Paul Westgate was carrying a study to know the film distribution across the UK. And we got involved with this. Technicians were taking pictures of different species of mice caught in traps and recording their location, not only the geographical location, but also like where in the property was the mice activity spotted. And the results were that field mice, they are more widespread than what we actually think. And this includes urban areas, and this is obviously very important because our treatment completely changes if we are facing a field mouse infestation. And we need to be responsible, and we need to know when it's a field mouse and a house mouse. Then I following the topic I just mentioned, I found this paper done in Chicago where they were recording the public complaints of rat sightings. And they measure other things, for example, the vacant land in the area where the rat complaint was reported, or rental housing or uncontained garbage, and they compare these different factors, and they could create a map that will predict rat problems or trapping success. And I think this is very interesting because it could be applied to the UK. We could create some kind of heat map based on the activity we are recording, and we could explain why these areas they have heavy rat infestations. We could also predict which areas are going to be high demand in rat or mice infestations. This also will support sales and marketing strategies. We could justify preventive contracts in these areas, and we could involve public health institutions in order to get on top of the issues. You can see on your left, these are the maps created by the researchers that I mentioned, done in Chicago. A private pest control company was helping them to trap rats across the state of Chicago. They measure the density of rat complaints by communities. They also measure the map B is also a measurement of the percentage of renters in its community. Map C is the area of vacant land. Light colors are areas that are very they have a heavy human population, and the map D is the forecast of trapping success, or if you want to say forecast of rat problems. We also got involved in a project done by Killgerm, where they were trying to understand the dissemination of a disease or pathogens by rodents. We were collecting stool samples from rodents within the city and sending them to be analyzed. And the aim is to obtain some data to get to know which kind of pathogens these rodents have and how they are spread within the city. And this is very important so we can create awareness for the needs of pest control to prevent public health. And I just wanted to also have a brief mention about insect treatments, because I mostly talk about rodents because probably behavioral resistance is the biggest battle we have at the moment in our industry, but it's also important to have some trialing with insect treatments. For example, with wasp treatments, we have been using different insecticidal dust products. We need solid evidence to defend the products that have been effective. We also been carrying some different trials with bedbug monitors, different scents, to know which kind of bedbug monitor or which kind of way is the most accurate to identify a bedbug problem as soon as possible. We also been trying different cockroach baits. I will also like to mention the Academic Relations Working Group. This is a BPCA working group. Their objective is to build connections between academic institutions and the pest control industry. They have been placing pest control research projects with students on topics that will be beneficial to understand better for the industry. And just to finish the presentation, I just wanted to highlight the importance of fieldwork research. So field research is critical to define and retain effective products. It's also very important, for example, with behavioral resistance, to find ways like alternatives to glue boards, for example. So we have a more humane approach and treatment. This is related to what I just said, but the behavioral resistance demands new effective rodent control methods. We need to gather more data. The examples I've been giving, they are good, but some of them they are not actually on paper or recorded. So we need to be more recording the data, be more scientific, so we can highlight our value and explain the challenges we face to both the public and the institutions. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your presentation. No, it's really interesting to see the work that sort of yourself and Pest Solutions are doing. Do you have a question or more of a statement from in the Q&A saying that people aren't noticing any resistance from rodents taking bait from sort of plastic trays, although this is in Sheffield down to Essex. Have you found in different parts of Edinburgh that you're still getting populations which aren't showing resistance, or is it sort of a bit of a mixture?
I think everywhere in Edinburgh we've noticed behavioral resistance. I used to work in Aberdeen before working in Edinburgh, and I never noticed behavioral resistance in Aberdeen, for example.
Okay, so there has been that switch between Aberdeen and Edinburgh. Thank you again for coming on, and I really appreciate your talk. Thank you, Clara.